Okay, I'm Adam Mitchell, board member of the Songwriters Guild of America.
I'm Rick Carnes, president of the Songwriters Guild of America.
And today we're going to talk about PROs, Performing Rights Organizations. We get questions all the time about this.
And the reason why is because copyright, people think of copyright as one thing. It's the right to copy a song. Okay? And the songwriter is the only one who really owns that right. When they first write a song, they control the right for copies being made. Now you can sign the song over to a publisher, and then the publisher is the one that owns the rights, at least for 35 years under the current copyright law. But what are those rights? And I think there are like 7 different rights now. There's print rights, which would be sheet music. There's performance rights, which is when the song's played on the radio, TV, airplay. There's mechanical rights. That's any mechanical reproduction of the song, usually meaning CDs, MP3 files you buy off of iTunes. There's grand rights. There's theatrical. There's all these other rights that are a little more obscure. But the ones that most songwriters concentrate on are the mechanical rights. That's the record sales, recording sales, and the performance rights. And we're going to talk about today the performance rights organizations. And there are basically 3. There is ASCAP, that's the American Society of Composers, Authors, and Publishers. There's BMI, which is Broadcast Music Incorporated. And there's SESAC, S-E-C.
And there's also SOCAN in Canada.
In Canada, but we don't count them.
Yeah, right.
Because we're all Americans here, except for Adam.
Who's Canadian?
Who's Canadian?
Who signed the SOCAN and BMI? But anyway, go ahead.
So what performance rights organizations do is, I signed with ASCAP. Are you ASCAP or BMI?
BMI.
Okay, so we're both represented of 2 different organizations. I signed with ASCAP, and ASCAP now represents all the songs in my catalog, in my publisher's catalog. And they go out to the radio people and they do a negotiation of all the catalog that they own and control.
Which is being played on the radio.
Which is being played on the radio. Of the ASCAP songwriters, and they make a blanket deal saying that you can use any of my songs as long as you pay this blanket rate. BMI does the same thing. And what will happen is that when my song's played on the radio, ASCAP will monitor it. They have these all kinds of arcane technological systems now that they've put in place over the years that will find, seek out all the airplay off my song, and they'll track it. And then when they get the total amounts of money in, from airplay, which is paid from all the users of the music, they'll take that lump sum of money, they'll take all the little airplays that I got all around, and they'll give that airplay a weighted number of points.
Right.
And that point system is what they use to divide up the money. Right. So I will get my share of that lump payment for the blanket license.
Right, exactly. They also know more than ever, while the preponderance of money still comes from, from BMI, from radio play, they are also monitoring now live performance in clubs, and how they do that is they'll go to club owners and they'll make them pay, depending on the size of the club, a license fee of $2,000, $5,000, depends what it is. And they're trying to be more, and they've got the technology to do this in a little more effective way than they used to. I don't know what the actual proportion is, you may know, Rick, but if you have a hit record, you will make a vast amount of money from performance rights, from radio play. Now, some records might get played a lot on the radio, but not really sell many CDs or get many downloads. That's become more and more common in certain formats of music. Certainly,
piracy is definitely
piracy is an issue, but performance rights are something to really understand, because a huge portion of your income will come from that. And so again, it's easier to, in some ways, easier than a publisher I think, to develop a relationship at a performing rights organization. Now, I think BMI, strictly speaking, insists that you have a song cut before you can be a member. Is ASCAP that way?
I think it was ASCAP that was that way first. And
yeah.
BMI was more loose. And now I'm not sure whether either one of them requires it.
Yeah, well, I think BMI, because I recently checked for an artist.
Because they do?
Yeah, well, strictly speaking, they do, but they may make exceptions. CSAC, I'm not sure. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
But performing rights organizations are going to be a major part of your portfolio, as it were, in understanding. You know, you've got song publishers, performing rights organizations, PROs are very, very important. You can find out much. You can come to the Songwriters Guild website or go to ascap.com, bmi.com, socan.ca if you happen to be,
or CSAC.
Or CSAC.
The very minimum you need to know is that if you write a song and it gets recorded, you must register the song with one of the PROs or you won't get paid.
Yeah.
What happens is the money is collected, but there's no one to attribute it to, so it goes into what we refer to as the black box. It goes into a black box which says the money is unassigned and unattributable, and then at the end of a certain period of time, they take the money and divide it up amongst the publishers because they don't know who to give it to.
And one other thing that all performing rights organizations do is there are performing rights organizations all around the world.
Yes.
I don't know how many, but there are a lot. And if it's probably the same in ASCAP, but every 6 months I will get a statement from BMI saying this song was played in this country this many times.
And they have reciprocal agreements with other performance rights organizations in other countries, so that if the United States pays them what the French writers, for instance, are making, then we'll pay the French.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Yeah.
And it's not the same rate necessarily as what we would get if your song was cut in America. But anyway, all to say that performing rights organizations, you have to register your song, but if you're signed with a publisher, a reputable publisher, they should do that. Each song you turn in.
Right, and almost every publisher has an ASCAP, a BMI, and a CSAC company.
That's right.
That's why you'll get a company like Pure Music, also has Southern Music. And
that's
two or three others that are all the same company, but one is their ASCAP company, one is their BMI, one is their CSAC company. So when we were both at one time writing at the same publishing company, I believe I was with Southern.
And I was with Pure.
Yeah. Because I was ASCAP and you were BMI.
Right.
So that basically says that we have to belong to performance rights organizations in order to get paid, that the performance right is part of a bundle of rights contained in copyright, and you certainly want to make sure that you collect all of the monies from all the various rights. The mechanical rights, which should be collected by your publisher and distributed to you. The performance rights should be collected by your PRO, your performing rights organization, and that should be paid to you.
Right. Or if you're signed with the publisher, they will pay to your publisher. Well, actually, they'll pay the publishing half to the publisher. He will distribute your portion depending upon your deal with the publisher.
Yes.
And you'll get your writing portion directly from BMI.
And one of the interesting things about performance monies is performance monies are paid directly to the songwriter. So if you've gotten an advance from your music publisher,
oh, that's right. That is important.
if you get an advance from your music publisher, the music publisher will only recoup on the mechanicals ordinarily, on the record sales. They don't recoup from the airplay, from the performance rights.
That's true.
So it's very important if you have taken a big draw or a big advance from your music publisher against your record sales, your mechanicals, that you still have that free income from the PROs that's paid directly that the publishers don't recoup on, because you'll need that money.
Yeah. Well, I can't think of anything else.
That covers it enough.
Again, if you have any questions, check out songwritersguildofamerica.com, ascap.com, bmi.com, or csac.com, or socan.com if you're in Canada.